Welcome, everybody. Good day. I hope everybody is doing good. So, we are going to continue from where we stopped yesterday, which is we were talking about support and resistance, how to plot your support zones, how to plot your resistance zones, how to make use of zones instead of lines. So, that's what we discussed or we talked about the last time. So, today we are supposed to start off with trend lines, right? Trend lines or dynamic support and resistance levels. But I realized that one of the first things I should have done was take you guys on how to, you know, go about the interface of TradingView. I know a lot of people should know this platform, but some people just don't know how to make good use of it. So I'm here to explain it. In fact, to be very honest, you can know how to use the platform, but not know how to use it best. Do you get? So you can know how to use it, but then you still need to be taught on how to use it best, how to make use of it properly. So first things first, when you log in, when you input www.tradingview.com, this is the first thing that always pops up. You'd always see all of these embedded systems here, all of that, and then you'd always see a list of instruments on the side where you can, click and then pop up the chart and all of that, right? So one of the first things you always need to do when you get to this point, the first things you always need to do is log in, sign up and log in. It is always very important for you to sign up and log in. So to sign up and log in, all you need to do is come to this icon here. This is always a profile. This is a profile icon. So click on it, sign up and then log in, right? Click on it, follow the prompt, sign up and log in, right? That is very important. And the reason why it's very important is because you don't want a situation whereby you have your chat work, you have your analysis done, all of that, you have it done, and for some reason you go off the chart and then you want to come back to the chart and then you do not see whatever work it is you've done, whatever analysis it is you've done, you don't see it. That's what happens when you do not sign up and log in. Are we together? That's what happens when you do not stay logged in on your platform. So you always have to stay logged in on your platform. So that being said, aside from signing up and logging in, the next thing you need to do, or I need to tell you about or teach you, is how to make your charts look as neat as mine right here. I am very sure if you log in at first, when you log in at first, you do not have your charts background and all of that looking as clean and neat as this, because there's always a lot of messiness when you first log in. Say for instance, when you log in or when you first sign up, you'd always see. So follow my mouse here. See where I over. So you'd always see little indicators at the bottom here, right? Let me expand this. Let me expand my view. You'd always see little indicators here trying to signify the volume of the market at a particular time, right? So to be very honest, we do not need that little indicator there. It is just a distraction. It really doesn't work. In my own knowledge, indicators don't work. They don't work. So what we are going to do is get rid of the indicator. So whatever platform you are on, whether you are using it on your laptop or your phone, right? So the interface and everything is always the same. Either you're using a laptop or a phone, it is always the same, right? So just click on that indicator and then click on remove. Once you click on indicator, some menus will pop up and then you just click on remove and then it just leaves your chart instantly, right? Now that we have that out of the way, now the next thing I need to explain to you is how to make your chart look. So one of the reasons why we always need to make our chart look neat is because you need to realize that this is our own office, right? This is our own office, whether you like it or not. And wherever it is you are working, you always want to make it look neat. You always want to make it look clean, right? So that you have a proper, clear um, proper clear reasoning, right? I don't know about anybody, but when I'm in a data environment, I don't think properly, to be very honest. So everything has to look neat so I can see clearly and I can think clearly. Are we together? So in order to have that done, one of the ways to always set up your chart to look nice and give it a beautiful aesthetic is by going to settings. So to go to settings, all you have to do is just click on the graph, yeah, and then you'd see settings, right? So for new people that just started using TradingView, there's always some sort of, you'd see. So look at my background here. You notice there are no lines here like horizontal and vertical lines and all of that. It is just a plain graph, right? It is just a plain graph. It's because I set it like that. And how was I able to do that? By coming over here, no, canvas, yes. By coming to canvas, and you notice grid lines, yes. So if I click on vertical and horizontal here, you notice my background starts having these vertical and horizontal lines, right? And to be very honest, I really don't want it. I really don't need it. It's not necessary. It's just a distraction. So I get rid of it by clicking none. Are we together? So now the graph itself, you can always change the color, right? You can give it a gradient by saying you want it a mixture of two colors, right? You want it a mixture of two colors. I really don't need that, so I just make it solid, right? Leave it solid, and you can always change the color, right? You can always change the color, but all of these colors are really a distraction. I want it plain. Notice I did not use white because white is too bright and I tend to stare on these things. I tend to stare on the chart a lot, right? And I don't want too much brightness in my eyes, so I go for something a little bit dimmer but still white. Are we together? So you can go for any of these gray colors, right? Good. So what else? What else? Notice this mouse over here. Let me go for a proper color so you can see what I'm about to explain. Notice this mouse over here, and then notice it has a crosshair, like dotted lines all around it, left, right, up, left, right, up, down, right? So you can change it. If you don't want that, you want black, you want it black, you can change it. If you want it pink, you can change it. You can always play around these things, like very easy. Are we together? They are very easy. So one other thing I want to bring to your attention, no, I don't want to leave this like this. I want it like this. That's less distraction for me. Good. One other thing I want to bring to your attention is you can always change the way you see your candlestick, right? So if you notice, let me zoom in a little bit. If you notice, anytime for every time the market goes up, we have green candles, and for every time the market comes down, we have red candles, signifying buy, sell, right? You can decide you want it to change. You don't want that kind of, you know, colors and all of that, and say, okay, whenever the market is going up, you want a blue, right? Are we together? And whenever the market is coming down, you want a yellow. Are we together? So you can always walk around all of these things, but I prefer mine red, not this red. This is red, and I prefer mine green. Um, exactly. Good. So that's that about that. I've been able to explain how to make your charts look neat and nice like mine. First of all, get rid of the indicator, get rid of the grid lines, horizontal and vertical lines. All of that is not necessary. What else did I explain? You can change the colors, change the settings, play around it. So after this video, after you watch it, just try play around the whole thing and get the hang of it by yourself. Are we together? Moving on, let me see what else I wrote here. Background indicator tools. Yes, tools. So um so for whether you are on a laptop or you are on a phone, the interface is always the same, Are we together? The only difference is that on a phone or tab, you have to download the TradingView platform on Apple Store or Play Store. But on a laptop, you just need to type in www.tradingview.com basically. But every other thing is the same, right? So whatever platform, whatever device you're using, on the left hand side, you'd see a bar like that has a lot of tools that we use when it comes to analysis and all of that. So let's say you want to make use of the trend line, just click on the trend line and you can basically just draw it across the charts. Let me get rid of that. Good. So one fun thing I want to show you guys is that instead of always coming here to click any chart, any tool you need, you can always add it to favorites. And then so notice what happens. Look at this first. This is a tooltip, and then this is a toolbar, and then it is always on my charts. Always on my charts. If I go to another chart, you would still see the same toolbar. Are we together? So if I always want tools that I make use of, most likely, like I always make use of these tools, I always want it on my chart. I don't want to always want to come here, click it before coming back to my chart. It's quite stressful when I can always favorite it. Are we together? So most of the times I make use of a trend line for analysis, so it's always on my chart. Favorite it, right? So sometimes I make use of the horizontal line, right? Sometimes I make use of the horizontal ray, and that's basically all I make use of here. So for the next I make use of a Fibonacci tool. I make use of it a lot, very powerful tool, and that's all I make use of here. I don't make use of anything here. Yes, so I make use of the long position when I want to enter the market, sell position. Are we together? So for long position means buy, for short position means sell, right? And I make use of price range sometimes when I want to calculate the amount of pips from a particular point A to a point B. Yes, I make use of price range sometimes. What else? I make use of the rectangle tool. So this is the rectangle tool I was talking about for the support and resistance. I make use of the rotated rectangle tool. It is also for support and resistance, but then it deals with I use it mostly for minor supports, right? Minor support. I use rectangle for major supports. I'm together. As we go on further in the course, you would understand all of these things. And then I make use of the path too. Yeah, for projection when I see that. Yes, I make use of the path too. Is there another thing? Text. Yeah, text is already here. Text was here. Good. So that's it basically. So anytime I want to, do something, I can always, um, you know, anytime I want to do anything I want to do, I can always come here, click it, and do whatever I want to, whatever it is I want to do. Right. Anyways, I do not have to always come here and click it. I always have it on my charts. Are we together? I always have it on my charts. Right. So after the video, make sure you go back to it, play around, and get the hang of it by yourself. Are we together? Practice makes perfect. You do not. It doesn't get perfect by just hearing it. It gets perfect by actually practicing it. Are we together? So what else? Tools, tool tips, time frames. Exactly. Yes. So next thing I want to talk to you about is time frames. So when I told you in the group that you guys should switch to a monthly time frame and then plot out your support and resistance zones, some people didn't understand what I was saying. So I would just have to explain it to you. So if you go to this same platform at the top left corner here, you'd notice you have some time frames like monthly, 4 hours, and all of that. Now let me explain something quite interesting for you guys. Yeah. So for on the month now, currently I'm on the monthly time frame. Are we together? If you notice, well, you might not notice. That's why I'm here to explain. So each candlestick on the monthly time frame represents a month. Are we together? Each candlestick on the monthly time frame represents a month. Now, if you look closely, we are currently in September, right? This candle here was the old representation for August. This was the old representation for July, for June, for May, for April, right? For March, for February, for January. Are we together? Oof. I'm going to show. Omo, I can't wait to get started with you guys. I'm going to explain um, quite a lot for you guys. You guys should be excited. Um, so yes, this is currently for the months of September, and if you look at the printing of this candle, you'd see it is going to it remains 18 days 14 hours left for this candlestick to close, right? Same if you go, this is the monthly, so the next is the weekly. If you go to the weekly time frame, you have, so today is Friday, so you have basically 13 hours left for the week to close, right? So by the end of the day, the week closes. As you all know, the forex market doesn't open on weekends, Wednesdays and Saturdays and Sundays. It is always closed. So that is basically it when I say switch to a particular time frame. So the time frames we make use of most of the times are the monthly time frame. So you always want to add it to favorites, so it is always on your charts. Are we together? We make use of the weekly time frame too, right? We make use of the daily time frame too, and we make use of the 4 hour time frame. Are we together? And maybe sometimes 1 hour time frames, but I rarely go to the 1 hour time frame. If need be, I would always come here and do it myself. That was a mistake. So let me go back to the monthly time frame. Good. So I think I've talked about everything. Let me check. Yeah, I've talked about everything that needs to be talked about. I've told you that you have to log in, sign up. Told you how to make your chart look aesthetically nice and beautiful like mine. Talk to you about tools, talk to you about time frames and all of that. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to what we are supposed to do today, which is how to plot your trend line. Are we together? How to plot your trend line. So for today's example, we are going to plot the trend line also on the monthly time frame. Are we together? We're going to plot the trend line on a monthly time frame. But before we do that, I would like to explain one or two things to you. Basically, we have three types of trends. Are we together? And I would like you guys to write all of these things down. We have three types of trend. We have an uptrend, we have a downtrend, and we have a sideways trend. Are we together? Uptrend, downtrend, sideways trend. For an uptrend, how do we identify an uptrend? We identify an uptrend by higher highs and higher lows. What do I mean? This is a higher high, this is a higher low, right? Um, let me do this again. Part two. This is a higher high, this is a higher low. Oh my days, why is this thing stressing me today? Oh, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher highs, and higher lows. So this is basically a uptrend. And how is this an uptrend? Because it has higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, right? Now, to identify, how do we identify a downtrend? It has lower lows, right? Lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and lower highs. Are we together? Good. This is a downtrend. This is an uptrend. This is a downtrend. Let me just write it down. Uptrend like this. Text tool. So this is an uptrend, right? This is a downtrend, right? And we also have sideways trends, right? Have sideways trends. It is neither going up, it is neither going down, it just keeps going sideways in the midst of two resistance, in the midst of a support and a resistance. Are we together? So this is a sideways trend. Good. So now where does our trend line, where does it come in play? It comes in play by guiding the trend, right? That's where the trend line comes in play. So you basically want to give it some sort of support or resistance, however the case may be, and say things like, so basically the trend line helps us identify when there is a change of trend. Are we together? Say for instance, you have a scenario whereby the market is approaching a trend line. Are we together? I hope you guys are taking notes here. Market is approaching a trend line, and at a point where the market goes below the trend line, right? It goes below the trend line and starts playing around here, you know that this uptrend has been violated. Are we together? It has been violated, and then it is now a downtrend. It is starting to form a downtrend. Similarly, for a downtrend, it is used to guide the market, give it some sort of resistance, right? And then we know that if there's at any point the market goes above the trend line, we know that it is no longer a downtrend, it is now starting to form an uptrend, right? Similarly for these two, sideways trend, sideways trend, good. So if at any time the market decides to go below this trend, right, we know that it is no longer a sideways trend, it is now starting to form a downtrend. Or if it decides to go above, we know it is no longer a sideways trend, it is now starting to form a uptrend, right? So for a sideways trend, it can go any way, it can go any direction, it can either go up, it can either go down. In fact, the proper mindset and psychology of this market is that anything can happen. The market can go anywhere, at any time, right? Good. So now that I've explained the basics of trend line and all of that, now let's go to the markets now. Let's see how we can plot proper trend lines and what interpretation, yes, we can give when we plot out these trend lines and all of that. So let me get rid of all of these drawings. Good. And let's so for this example, we are going to do our plot our trend lines on the monthly time frame. And before that, I would like to just plot out my support and resistance levels again. I know we've done that, but I just like to plot it out all the time. And for the sake of repetition, that's why I'm just plotting, so you guys would get a proper hang of this. So obviously we are making use of the rectangle tool, right, to plot our support and resistance. And this is where I would want to take out first. Remember, I told you in the last video, do not make it big. Do not make your rectangle too big. Make it sizable, right? So I wanted to catch these two places too. So I have rejection zones here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Are we together? So next, so if you're on your laptop, you can just press your control key and then drag this to duplicate. Are we together? Instead of always having to come back here, coming to draw, coming to tap on this. Are we together? But if you're on your phone, you just have to come back here, Trust me, it's really not stressful. It's easy and all of these things. Don't look at it like it's stressful. If I feel like this is too big, let me reduce it a bit. Yeah, just come because I'm on the monthly time frame. Yes, if I make it too big on the monthly time frame, when I get to lower time frames like daily time frame, it gets extremely big. I wish get that it gets extremely big, and I don't want to give room for errors, right? When it gets extremely big, the market might have broken that support and you think it has not broken it because your trend line, the zone is too big. I always get that. So this is also quite big. Yeah, this is also quite, this is good now. Yes. Let me just put it here. Good. One more thing I want to bring your attention to is that for support and resistances, yeah, please you should write it, you should write this down. For support and resistance, it is always advisable to plot your support and resistance on the body of the candle, right? It is always advisable to plot your support and resistance on the body of the candle. Say for instance now, look at this place here. I could have brought my support and resistance. I could have brought my support or resistance. I could have brought it here, right? But I want to catch something more genuine. That's why I brought it to the body. And if you notice, it is also on the body here, right? And most of the times, I want to target body instead of wicks. Are we together? You always want to target the body of the candles instead of wicks, right? Um, good, 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 good. So currently on the monthly time frame, let me zoom out so we can see the whole market and know exactly how to draw our trend lines. Good. So for unlike the support and resistance, when it comes to trend line, we always want to draw our trend lines on the wicks of the candle. This is why I say you should take notes so you can always identify these things by yourself. When it comes to support and resistance, we always want to draw it on the body of the candle. When it comes to trend lines, we always want to draw it on the wicks of the candle. What do I mean by wick? This is a wick, right? This is a wick. This is a wick, right? This is a wick, right? This is the body, and this is a wick. Are we together? Good. So for this market, I want to draw the trend line, and I will target the wick. Yes. I would have gone for this, but then if I go for this, I wouldn't be able to take account of whatever is happening in the market currently, so I will just go like this, right? Let me go like this. Let me go for this. Yes, so I can have more things to explain. Yes, good. Good, good, good. So this is a downtrend. Like, are we together? This is a downtrend because it has lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, and eventually the market came above. Are we together? The market came above the trend line. It broke the trend line here, started to form an uptrend. Are we together? And then now we have a lower high. Sorry, we have a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher lows, higher highs. Please write these things down. What consists of a uptrend higher is higher highs and higher lows. What makes up a downtrend is lower lows and lower highs. Are we together? Good. So now that we know that this market is now in an uptrend, right? It was in a downtrend before, but it is currently in an uptrend. Now that we know it is in an uptrend, we want to draw a trend line to support that theory, right? And okay, let me get rid of this trend line first because I don't want too much tools on my charts annoys me. Good. So we know this is currently an uptrend, and as I said, we always want to target the week. right? You would not see me drawing a trend line like this. Are we together? Right? You wouldn't see me drawing a trend line like this. Some people want to draw their trend line too close to the market so that it can support whatever theory it is that they have in their head. So it can support it. They tend to draw the trend lines too close to the market. But the market is the market. The market doesn't care about whatever it is in your head. It doesn't care about what you feel, right? There are rules, and the rules say draw your trend line on the wicks. Are we together? So now we have our trend line on the wick. Now, if you notice, this trend line is not doing justice to this market. What do I mean? We can always have multiple trend lines. That is an inner trend line, right? Good. So this is another trend line in this market. Notice I am drawing this on the wick. Notice I did not come here and say I want to put it here, right? I have to put it on the tip of the candle, right? So that any other thing that is happening, I understand, right? I understand properly that, okay, this is what is happening and all of that. So now let me give you guys an understanding of what is going on here. So first of all, one thing you always want to take note of is that in order for you to draw a trend line, you need at least two weeks to confirm that it is a trend line. No, sorry, let me come again. You need 2 weeks to draw a trend line, but you need 3 weeks to confirm that it is a trend line. Please write this down and I'm going to take it again. Are we together? Let me get rid of these two trend lines here so I can explain what I'm trying to say properly. I'll draw it again. Good. So, like I said, in order to draw a trend line, you need 2 weeks. This is a week. This is another week. Are we together? So now we have 2 weeks. We know that, okay, we can draw a trend line, but we do not know if it is not confirmed that it is a trend line yet, right? So we just connect the 2 weeks together, right? We connect the 2 weeks together. Good. So now let us go for the inner trend line as before. We have week 1. This is the first week here. We have another week here. This confirms that we can draw trend line also. So let's go ahead and draw the trend line. Right? Good. Let's go ahead and draw the trend line. So, exactly. So we have a trend line here. But then what makes us confirm that, okay, this is a trend line is the third touch on the trend line. That is what confirms that it is truly a trend line. Right? So this is week 1, this is week 2. Let me get rid of this. This is week 1, this is week 2, right? And currently it is a bit dicey because we don't know what the market is. We don't know what the market wants to do yet, right? It is still playing around these edges, still romancing these levels and all of that. So we are waiting for the market to give us confirmation if it wants to continue on this uptrend, right? If you notice, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher low. The market can decide it wants to go and form its higher high, right? Or the market can say it is not going up again, it wants to come down, and then it can come all the way down here. Are we together? Now we have started doing analysis. We have started doing analysis. We have started figuring out direction of the market, right? But to be very honest, I'm just showing you how to draw a trend line. To be very honest, but anyways, so the market can decide it wants to go all the way up or it wants to go all the way down. What we have to do is to wait, be patient for it to do its thing, right? When it does its thing, we would know if this is truly a trend line. If it goes all the way up, then we know truly that it is a trend line. But if it comes here and then starts to retest around here, looking like it wants to point downward, then we know this was never a trend line, right? This is never a trend line, or this trend line did not achieve its purpose, right? Because the third touch of a trend line is always supposed to be very strong, but since this did not hold, that means it is not a proper trend line. Are we together? So yes, that's basically it. Are we together? That's basically it. So let me go to another example and show you guys exactly. So I was working on this before. Yeah, I was working on this before. So this is Euro USD and I'm on the monthly time frame. So this is this was a downtrend. What do I say? Why do I say was? Because if you notice, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower high, but then it broke the support. It broke the resistance. Pardon, I beg your pardon. Broke the resistance and then came up, and then now it's looking like it wants to form. It wants to start forming an uptrend. Are we together? So basically, that's how the whole trend line thing works. Let me see if there's any other thing I want to talk to you guys about, because this video is starting to get long, over 30 minutes. We'll disconnect 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me see. Let me see what's going on here. What's going on here. Week 1 connects to week 2. Okay, nothing is going on here. Nothing is going on here. Anyways, I hope you guys get the gist already, how to draw a trend line, right? So the purpose of this video is to just show you how to draw a trend line. When we get to the strategy development, multiple time frame analysis, I get to explain properly how to interpret a trend line. Are we together? We get to explain properly how to interpret a trend line. But for today, the purpose is just to draw a trend line. Okay, let's just draw a trend line here too. So this is an uptrend, right? How is it an uptrend? Because it consists of higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. These are the characteristics of an uptrend. So we need to find the first week. You can come all the way here, but it's really not necessary. Find the first week, find the second week. Are we together? But notice if I draw this as my second week, if I use this as my second week, I am coming too close to the market. Are we together? And I don't want confusions like that. So I would rather pick this as my second week. I'll pick this point as my second week. Are we together? So I'm able to give the market room to breathe, right? I'm able to give the market room to breathe and then say, okay, if you come here the third time, in fact, I didn't draw this well because look at it. This is too close to the market already. So let me just readjust my trend line. This is my first week. Good. Good. So this is my first week. This is my first week. This is my second week. This is my third week. Week WICK. WICK. Where's my tooltip? WICK. That's what I mean by week. Are we together? This is a week. This is another week, and so on and so forth. In fact, okay, let's come. Are we together? So that is how to draw a trend line. Let me see, is there any other example? S&P 500. I should be able to see proper examples. Oh, this pair just keeps going up. Just keeps going up. Oh god. One more. Anyways, so this is also an uptrend. This is my first week, right? This is my second week. And notice I wouldn't come and draw it here because it's too close to the market. This is my second week, right? I cannot decide, okay, I want to draw an inner trend line and pick this as my first week. Pick this as my second week. So this is where I picked as my second week, right? This is my second week. This is a third week. This is a fourth week. Now notice this is acceptable, right? because at the end of the day, this is not a full candle. This is just a wick, right? So this is acceptable. I notice the market just keeps going and all of that. I should find a way to enter this market and just has a lot of space. But anyways, I hope you guys get the gist already. I hope you get the gist already. And yes, that's basically it, guys. So once you go through this, our next topic or our next what we are supposed to take next is price action. How to read price action, how to look at candlesticks and understand what the market is going, what the market is about to do, and all of that. So that's what we're going to talk about next. So please make sure you watch this video, make sure you practice everything that has been taught here, make sure you take notes, and yeah, God bless everybody.